ook een heel mooi moment om de kunstenaars te introduceren, wiens werk jullie straks kunnen aanschouwen, ervaren en erdoor laten inspireren. We zijn op het idee gekomen, naar aanleiding van het radere jubileum waar we eerder over hadden, 10 jaar Zwarte Piet Is Racisme. En vanuit de Black Archive doen we veel historisch onderzoek, archiefonderzoek, onze eigen collecties en andere collecties. Waardoor het al heel snel een heel stoffig en overloop met informatie kan worden. Daarom proberen we altijd in dialoog te gaan en op een creatieve manier met kunstenaars die bijzondere verhalen en archiefstukken die we vinden meer zichtbaar te maken, toegankelijk te maken, invoelbaar te maken. We hebben dit gedaan met een heel, best wel uitgebreid team. Een research team, een van ze zit een beetje gekrield in het midden van het pad, staat nog even op Isabel en Alexine. We zijn een grassroots organisatie, dus we worden gerecruiteerd om onderzoek te doen in Europese op de pyramide en alles te doen. Dus dank jullie wel daarvoor. Jessica ook heel veel bijgedragen als researcher. En daarnaast hebben we dus voor het eerst een soort open oproep gedaan voor kunstenaars en makers. Dat deden we eind vorig jaar. We kregen heel veel reacties. En uit die reacties hebben we 4 personen gekozen. Eén van ze kan helaas niet aanwezig zijn. Lydia Alberto. Die is op Curaçao. Die is over een week terug en we zullen meerdere activiteiten organiseren zodat jullie ook haar kunnen ontmoeten. Maar de 3 kunstenaars die wel aanwezig zijn, die zitten gelukkig hier op het podium. Links, Sherida Koufour, Yassir Linger, Gloria Alberda en Raoul was eigenlijk een beetje de schakel tussen iedereen, dus hij zit ook weer op het podium. We gaan het kort houden, want eigenlijk moeten jullie gewoon de kunst ervaren en later in het jaar gaan we met ieder van jullie een wat uitgebreider programma organiseren. Maar laten we beginnen bij jou, Sherida. Zou je een tipje van de sluier kunnen lichten over wat je hebt gemaakt en wat mensen een beetje kunnen verwachten als ze beneden de expositie gaan krijgen?
So I think that our interpretation of, thank you. I think our interpretation of the subject facing blackness is, I think that there's kind of a lot of threads that are running through all of our works, which is first of all care, and actually with the subject facing blackness, we kind of turned the lens around a little bit. So it was not just about the idea of experiencing what we, as black people, collectively what we experienced, but also how we actually as black people now take all that in, right? So facing blackness, you have that word facing in there, but actually who is facing it? And I think for all of us it was really important to, kind of highlight that actually we can also be witnesses to what's happened, and what still continues to happen. So going back to that care thing, I think we kind of all did really, I would say, a good job at being careful with the very sensitive material that we've all been exposed to, which is very important, I think.
Thank you. What's the name of your work?
It's Love from the Margins. It's downstairs, it's very colorful, that's all I'm going to say. And it's also posted for sale, just in case. Just for that.
Especially for the early birds.
Get that in.
Ik ga het in het Engels doen, volgens mij zijn er ook mensen in de zaal die geen Engels verstaan. Maar eerst een shout-out naar Serena Angelisa, de graphic designer van de tentoonstelling. Sarana, she just left, she was here with her partner, but she donated this. So before I forget, Mitch, Sarana gave you this.
Wow.
Do you understand how this bit? You don't know how to read, you're like, oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so like, yay.
That's so racist.
So racist.
It's crazy.
Wauw.
Oh, wow.
Dus alsjeblieft van Sarana en haar partner.
Oké, denk je Sarah?
Ze is er niet, man.
Oh, yeah.
Maar om het even kort te houden, want we willen allemaal, we all want to see the exhibition downstairs. And Akwasi was just talking about the not so visible and visual culture, het onderbelichte. And to me, the black everyday, the black mundane, black joy is often underexposed in the portrayal of black people, where there's often they just focus on the spectacle, violence, trauma, or sports achievements. And my installation focuses on black joy, the black everydayness, the black mundane. And it was inspired by a story from my oma, a story of my grandmother. It was inspiration for my installation. And it touches themes as diaspora and the Surinamese Afro religion, Winti. And with my installation, I actually counterbalance all the racist, stereotypical, negative colonial imagery that you can see in the exhibition. And the last question is the name. The name of my exhibition is Grama Doni Kitori, and it's a big blue. I'm not going to expose it. You're going to see it. So.
You want to tell about the reference?
Oh yeah, the reference is I'm not that tall, but my installation is my size, the length of it, and that's a small reference to may he rest in peace, Surinamese conceptual artist.
Stanley Brown.
Stanley Brown, yeah. Stanley Brown, so yeah.
Gloria.
First, what I want to do is give a super incredible, super groot, as groot as it can, shout out to everybody. So we can just give them an applause for everything. Clap, applause. Yeah, I mean, we did have super keihard gewerkt. I mean, literally, Mitchell was yesterday vacuuming. Yeah. Nee, it's serious. I do it all, huh? All this work and all this belangrijk, ja, from that to deze thing, huh? So ik zie niet mijn taalleraar is hier, so ik wil vandaag praten in Engels. All right. Ja, oké. En ik ook heb een vriend en hij begrijpt niet zo goed Nederlands ook, so ik wil in Engels zeggen. Well, she's not here, so. I mean, I also thought like facing blackness was like for like all the white people, to be honest, because it's like, you know, I'm obviously like not from here, and for me, the idea that there's something special about the racism in the Netherlands or the racist characters, I found it super graphic when I was first told that, because I mean, unfortunately, it is international. I was speaking of. Thank you so much. I was speaking of the multiplicity, pardon my language, but that is what it is, the multiplicity of this type of imagery from the time I am born, before me, my ancestors, and all of us just had to deal with it, including the white community as well, because there's a multiplicity, there's so damn much of that shit. You've seen it whether you wanted to or not, right? And so that, I mean, I think that's the reality of the history that all countries need to face, not just the Netherlands, not just America, not just England, but everywhere. Because, you know, when people used to say, oh, black people need to get the fuck over it, you know, people of color need to stop complaining, they need to move on, come on, you guys have done so well, you guys can move further. And I'm like, fuck that. You know why? Because in fact, if you think about it, it is fucking everywhere. Every country I have ever been to, I have faced fucking racism. But here, I gotta say, I get a little privilege being a black American that my other brothers and sisters of color don't get. That's like really fucking weird, but thus racism. So those are the issues that I think we handled with care as well, because I mean, a lot of the imagery is like super fucking gut-wrenchingly throw up, painful. So I mean, that's, you know, that's reality of the banal or the everyday that many of us face. And you know, I'm like, how the fuck do we do it? Like, how the fuck did my ancestors do that shit? You know, they actually had to like look down on the street in the South when a white person passed. I was like, oh my fucking God, you know? So I mean, when you think about the embeddedness of this in all cultures and all places, unfortunately, all over the world, it is time to address it not as something unique to any one country, but the reality is it's to all of us, white, black, Asian, wherever you are from. it has affected you and the way that you live. So I think we did a caring. I like the way you said that job of it.
Thank you. And the name of your...
It's, I don't need that. Sorry, I can do without that. It is called Make Way, Stories Untold.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can say something about the work of Lydia and about your curatorial design, especially the scale models.
Sure. Why do you give me all these assignments not to spoil things and be very specific afterwards? Okay. Let me talk about Lydia's work. So, from a curatorial point of perspective, I think Lydia's work is really important. I don't know, some people might know her work, like Lydia Alberto. She works a lot with comics. And she reframes them, reshapes them, makes choices of what to show and what not to show. And I think that amazing job she did downstairs is also an amazing step in her art practice, is that she started to adding her own comments, her own thoughts, and reflecting on what this imagery can mean and what speaking is about, who is allowed to speak. You have to watch closely and dive into her installation piece, and that's, I think, all I'm going to say about it. And the same goes for the scale models.
Oh, good. Oh, well done. 2 for 1. We got that.
In that case, I think it's just time to open it up after one question from the group.
I can get the mic.
I
think I need the mic.
I'm holding though.
Okay, that's fine. It's a question for all of you, just from one human being to another. Do you ever get exhausted of always having to put your best face forward? Because that's always a thing in advocacy, that's always a thing in activism. You always have to play that tight line with respectability politics. And for me, as a person, I know I said fuck all to all of that. Because you're human, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall down, you're going to get up, you're going to fuck up, you're going to recalibrate, that sort of thing. So just for all of you as people in this position, be role models, whether you liked it or not, whether you signed up for it or not, by default, that's what you are now. Like how do you navigate that?
Dismantle role models, first of all. Just, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really poignant question. Because I think there's 2 parts to that question, because I feel like the first thing, which is the idea of role models that I think as a society we have to dismantle, that this hierarchy of there being kind of this one person at the top and then it trickling down to the other people, I think is kind of part of the reason why our system, both in the US and here, is the reason why it is, because we have this one pivotal savior, and I just don't agree with that. And then to the first part of your question, which is how do you deal also with the view of who is your work for, actually? And I think that for me, this was like the first question, is how do we know that the work we're creating is for the people that we want to reach, right? And so it was very easy for this exhibition to become about, look, white people, look what you did to us, right? But actually, is whiteness the end of our audience? Is that the target audience at the end of the day? Or actually, is it for other black people? In which case, I come back to the thing about care, and I come back to the thing about, who you're making things for, right? So if we're talking especially about violence, which respectability politics sometimes plays into, it's about, okay, what language can I use in this exhibition that other non-white people can understand, right? So we had a lot of, especially like in the early 19th century, late 18th century, this racist caricature imagery, which I think for a lot of black people, I think we're aware that this stuff kind of exists, or we understand the textures of that experience, right? Whereas you know, maybe for non-black people, it's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe this used that. Like, this is the worst thing whenever someone says to me, oh my God, racism in 2022, racism in 2021, racism in 1918, racism in 1940, 1950. You know, it's always a new subject for these people. But because we know, in literature there's a term called in medias res, which means to begin in the middle of something. For black people, when we're creating something for ourselves, we're beginning what seems to be in the middle, right, for other non-black people, because we're starting where we're at, which is not the beginning for a lot of white people, right, because the history starts in a different place for those two different groups. So definitely fuck role models, that's the first thing.
Love it.
And then the second thing is know exactly who you're creating what for, which I think this exhibition, especially, I mean, I think my work definitely is talking about this as well, right? About who we're, making things for. That's
For me, it's just tapping into that being exhausted. For me, it is like trying to deal with your emotions, finding your like inner peace and going inwards to yourself and trying to find like space and time to be with myself, to deal with that type of emotion, deal with that. And in regards to role models, where I would actually like to inspire, so I kind of agree with you that also you just said, in regards to role models, but for me it is, I know that I could inspire maybe a black, mixed race, whatever, a person, just a younger person, just to make art or dive deeper into their roots. So that's the thing that I'm aiming for. Younger people, could be older people as well, may tap into their roots, go back to their family history, or just see that, hey, I can be creative as well and make art as well, or make the best out of it. So.
Well, you know, I want to thank you for, you know that's sweet, thank you. I also don't want to act like there aren't two people up here who are married to white people, and one's a Frisian. So, you know, that's reality as well. So I also don't want to act like I don't have a huge damn family and some of them ain't white as well, and Latino, and Muslim, and other as well. I have a really big family, as many people do. So I think, in answer to the question, I have a lot of, I'm lucky to have a lot of experiences known of what my elders suffered in the South in America, and what they had to do and what they endured, from being murdered to losing a limb, to many things that many people of color have gone through, rape, the whole thing. And I'm saying it lightly because it would just make us all start to freaking cry if we all shared that. I know many people in this room have a similar history in their families. And this is also something that needs to be recognized. So in answer to your question, how do you deal with it? You do break down sometimes. Some of us during this process had to really deal with some serious shit because we had because of the pandemic, because we also were given, thankfully, to everybody time to develop these. These are new works for us, some of exploring new things. That's another way, explore new things, like the Star Trekking and shit, That's another way to get out of the racism. You keep moving forward while it stays in the same fucking place. So, things like that. But yeah, you break. Sometimes, your friends break, your family members break. I happen to have mental illness in my family. It's no joke. It's like generation to generation, we're like, oh shit, oh fucking shit again. And the racism doesn't change. And it always plays a part in it. I had a relative who was a successful doctor, and they lost their mind for what they had to do to get there, So, we have other stories. Like I said, and other people have other stories. So I think that's another way to recognize you're not alone in this as well. And it doesn't mean that you're better or stronger or whatever that, other bullshit is like, heroes and all that stuff. You go on, and like I said, you go further than the racism, and you reach further also than the racism. You reach over it, you reach through it, because it seems like it never goes away. But, you deal, and we deal with it with each other, not alone. There we go.
I think what is important to add, because all the things said I agree on is that it's really important to build your own table. I think a way of dealing with it is being here, having an organization together with the community and deciding how we talk about the subjects, how we show what we want to show, how we talk about it with each other, because it is exhausting. Yes, it is. So, just a little tip. When you go into the exhibition, there are a lot of drawers. If it's too exhausting, close the drawer. Okay?
Thank you for that. And to build upon the last thing you said, really the house of Vereniging Sociale is only one of the few black-owned buildings with a collective purpose. If you would create this exhibition in a white institution, it would have been extremely exhausting. But we've been able to develop it, curate it in our own way, on our own pace. So I think that also contributed to a process that of making it in a way that we hopefully inspire all of you. So we can talk much longer about the subject, but I really think it's time to share the work with you all. One thing, as I said, it's a black-owned institution, but we're still a grassroots organization, and we really hope to attract as many people as possible. So I'm really calling upon everybody to share it online, via social media, hashtag our lives, labels, etc., so more people can visit us and pay tickets and buy the art of the artist. So it's a bigger space, but it may be a bit tight if everybody goes down at the same time. So what I would like to propose is we start with the first 6 rows. Y'all can follow me downstairs. And let's just go with the flow. After, let's say, 15, 20 minutes, the person will go down and join the exhibition. The artists will be there as well. Enjoy it, share it. For those who will be there, you can also watch another exhibition about Surinamese people in the Netherlands.
It's right there.
You can enjoy the music, the snacks.
Oh yeah, put that thing in there. Yeah, put that thing away so we don't see that.
And you can buy drinks.
Kom zo in je beeld. Eigenlijk moet je met je vrouw bellen. Ja, maar even kijken, even een beetje tegen. Vereniging van zijn namen, ja. Tof! Mooi hoor.
Somebody, anybody, everybody, scream! 1, 2, 3, 4.
die 40 kunnen wij van start gaan. En we gaan er een hele mooie dag van maken. Dus geniet nog even van de muziek. Maak kennis met iemand die je nog niet kent. En dan gaan we straks van start.